In this lesson, we have more shapes to learn about, but what if you want to make shapes merge or join with each other, or if you want to pop a hole out of a shape? This is going to deal with combining and making new shapes. So on the far right, you'll see this is our goal, this eyeball or eye logo. These are all the pieces that we're going to use to make that eyeball logo. We're going to use a tool called the Shape Builder. I'm going to hover over it here. Notice it shows several ovals and how you can link them all together to create a solid shape. So we're going to work with linking shapes together or combining them with the Shape Builder. We're also going to look at how to punch holes or remove parts, not just adding them together, but maybe removing some portions of them. So here's our next venture. It is normally best whenever you can zoom in on what you're trying to draw, you can see anchor points better, and you can actually see what you're trying to join. What I'm going to suggest is this. This is another way to use the zoom tool. I'm going to click with the zoom and drag it. Check that out. I clicked and I dragged, right? It made it really big. And we have to reduce it to a smidge here. I'm going to hold down the Alt key and remove it down. Okay. I'm going to bring my hand tool to move over my objects because these are the first two things that I'm going to draw. I want to merge this all together, this rectangle that they've drawn along with the square. So it's a rectangle with a rounded top. So that means I need to kind of merge or combine all of these shapes together. To do that, we're going to use the selection tool. We're going to drag a marquee around both objects so that they both select. And we're coming over to this shape builder tool, this circle on circle with a little arrow. I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to start by using this little plus sign selection tool, and I'm going to click and drag all of these shapes together. Ta-da! All right, so let me do that one more time. The hovering shows a grayed area, and it shows immediately the selection tool with a plus sign. That means we're adding each one of these shapes together as I click and drag over all of them. And now they are all built into one big shape. All right. So I'm going to use my selection tool. And in the sample that it shows us, it says that we were going to be moving this into that open space, kind of leaving a little bit of room on the left-hand side and the bottom. So all I had to do was move those together. So I'm going to double click my hand tool to kind of get full back out, full view. And look, here we go. We've got the back portion of it already done. Now let's move into the large eye. All right. We have two big circles. They're solid. All right. And these two circles, when they overlap each other, I'm going to highlight them both. They create this eye shape in the middle. Look at that. So the rationale is that we're going to get rid of this upper part and we're going to get rid of this lower part so that all we have left is the eyes opening or the pointed oval in the middle. Again, I'm going to come in with my zoom tool. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit closer as I try to draw. That way I can work with accuracy. Both of my shapes have been selected. Reminder, I did the selection drag over both things to create a marquee. Now I'm going to my shape builder tool. I'm going to click on it. And it shows us by default that it mentally wants to plus or add everything together. But we don't want to add things together. We want to take things away. We want to take this top section away and this bottom section away so that all we have is the middle. All right, so what's the opposite of plus? Minus, right? So this means that we're going to need to hold the Alt key. Remember I said in a previous video that Alt means alternate, meaning the opposite. So instead of doing plus, the minus, if I hold down the Alt key, is going to be a minus. So as soon as I hold the Alt key and make this a minus, I can click, and that little section goes away. I'm going to do that again down here. I'm hovering inside the space. I hold down the Alt key. It changes to a minus. And while I'm holding the Alt key, I click, and it goes away. Okay, so merging, you drag things together while the plus sign is showing. Getting rid of things, you hold the Alt key and click, and the object parts go away. Nice. Okay, so we can add and we can subtract. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to use my selection tool. I'm going to bring this guy over and hover it centered pretty much like it does in the original. Let's go back in full view. There we go. So we're like 2/3 there. Now we just need to get this little crescent reflection, this moon reflection in the eye, right? Okay, so let's zoom again. We're going to go zooming in on these items here. So once again, we have 2 circles. 1, 2. I'm going to use the the marquee drag to kind of select them both. Again, one of the other options we talked about in an earlier video is I could click this, I can hold down Shift, and I can click this one. Okay? So you can select by holding Shift or the marquee when nothing else is in your way. So what do I want to get rid of in this one? We want to get rid of this shape area here. So it's going to take out the oval eye, and it's going to take out this back crescent when we start to delete things, and it's going to leave us with just this reflective sliver. So back to the shape builder we go. We are going to hold down the Alt key because we want to take this section away, punch. We want to take this section away, punch, and now we're left with the reflective moon. So I'm going to come down here and drag it down and put it in the eye, right? Now I need to move both of these to bring them over here to put them in the right spot. So what I can do one of two things. So these don't separate on me and I don't lose one or the other as I'm dragging it over. I can select them both, and I could go down to where it says group. We did this with a previous video. I can group those and then bring them over, and both come over and we don't lose any important details. Okay. The other way would be just to marquee both of them so that they're both selected and I bring them over together. If I ever wanted to move something, then again, I could just grab it and readjust it. So some people like to group things when there's lots of different tiny pieces. Others like to just select them and to move them over. So if we double click out on our hand, here we go. We have our finished product, which looks pretty close to the original one on the far right. Your challenge is now going to be to finish the instructions on the side view. Let's read into these here briefly. I'll zoom in just a little bit. Once the video section is completed, which we now are, continue merging and punching out 3 more combined shapes. Use any shapes in the shape box. Use the shape builder tool to combine with a plus sign or to subtract areas with the minus holding the Alt key. As soon as you're finished, you're going to be saving them as an AI file, and here's the name for that new file, and as a PDF, just as we did last time, and here's the name for that. So let's slide back over to this big open space we had here. Here's an example of what I'm asking for. We will take a color. I'm going to grab any kind of color here from some swatches. If your swatch palette ever kind of goes into this little weird mode where it doesn't have any options for you, go up to the little menu, go down to Open Swatch Library, and come up to Default Swatches. We're going to choose Art and Illustration. And there's some default swatches. So let me choose a random color here. Let's go for something red. I'm going to turn off the outline stroke temporarily here, and we're going to draw without outlines. So we're going to come in, and I've got this rounded rectangle. I'll do a rounded rectangle. And I want to add something to this rounded rectangle to combine this with another shape. So I'll pick a different shape. Say I do a polygon. So I will drag this over the top of it. I will, oh, come on, buddy. Pencil. There we go. I want to turn it, and I'll move it slightly here. Now that I have two shapes, I'm going to select them both. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to merge them all together so that it is one big gigantic shape. Okay? The next time you do something, you might want to bring two shapes over and punch a little bit out of one shape with another one using the Alt key and your shape builder. Okay, so you've got different options. So you choose whatever shapes you want from the shape over to the left. Use the shape builder to either add shapes together and or punch shapes out. I'm asking for 3 combinations.